Like and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. Submerged in the depths of rivers and hidden from the eyes of the world, there are many floating mysteries waiting for people to explore and find. Well, some of them have been recorded on camera, and you hang on to see the most enigmatic realities captured by explorers in the middle of rivers. Exploding River. Not an ambushing predator or a monstrous creature inside has caused this, but actually, this is what happens when you enter a river filled with manatees. This guy accidentally went over a group of them. Well, let's just say that was the only mistake he made, because it began a series of endless spats in the river. Manatees actually do this to threaten their predators, as these docile animals won't fight their enemies. Okay, it means they won't hurt, but surely will scare the heck out of you. Black hole inside a river. It doesn't matter how many times I've watched this horrid bubble appearing in the river. It's never enough to explain what's happening. A guy was out there exploring the wilds of India when he came across this. It looked like the side of the river was suddenly boiling. There's a possibility that it could have happened due to methane, as it sometimes bursts in the bottom of the river. Or there could be a school of fish down there in the water trying to scare away a predator. But nothing has been made clear by the authorities to date. Abandoned cars. Stacked deep down in a cave are decades-old cars. These abandoned cars were explored by a group of explorers a few years back. They were visiting a small village in Wales and somehow ended up inside the strange cave. Known as the Cavern of Lost Souls, it is filled with rusted remains of old cars. People in the town believe that these cars carry souls, and each have an inspiring story to tell. Therefore, instead of tearing them down, they send them to the car cave. Fish takes help. What do the fish do when they're pursued by sharks? They take refuge on a boat. At least, that's what this fish does. A group of tourists were recording the breathtaking sight of a shark hunting a fish. It was when the shark was about to grasp its prey, it jumped right on the boat.
The tarpon jumped on I told you!
Although it was an accident, as the fish was jumping all around in fright, it luckily worked, and the shark ended its pursuit while the fish returned to the ocean. Sharks feeding frenzy. A group of tourists got the fright of their lives when they bumped into hundreds of sharks. It happened off the coast of Louisiana a few months back. The people were out there fishing for tuna when they found them trapped in a large shiver of sharks. Luckily for them, the sharks were also after tuna and did not bother their existence. The people stood there watching the frantic frenzy before they moved away from the ravenous eaters. Wolffish strikes. Messing with a wolffish is never a good idea, and here's why. This guy hauled one out of the water and instantly realized that it was not a good idea. The frustrated fish immediately began the endless attempts to clamp the sharp teeth against his arms. The guy even offered it a lobster before sending the tiny fighter back into the ocean. Watch how it clutches the lobster and dives into the water. Fish pulls man. Imagine fishing on a secluded side of the river, hauling a massive catch, and then this happens to you. I must say, it was a bad time to record. This poor guy caught a big fish and instantly regretted his decision to pull it out. Although the camera couldn't capture the mighty catch, it did manage to record the embarrassing fall into the river. Tailless crocodile. So this is what happens when nature takes a turn on you. A group of tourists spotted this tailless crocodile in the wetlands of Singapore. The crocodile looked surprisingly healthy and belonged to the largest species of crocs in the reserve. But the rarity was not due to any birth deformity. The crocodile was in fact born healthy. It sadly lost its tail during an intense brawl when the fellow caiman bit its tail. Stingray gives birth. This little boy picked up a shark from the shallows of Queensland, and it turned out to be pregnant. Basically, there are only two reasons a stingray comes to the surface. Either it beached itself to avoid predation, or it's pregnant. It was the latter in the case of this boy. And to his shock, it began giving birth right in the boy's hands. One after another, he helped the ray give birth to a litter of 12 pups before he sent them all back into the water. Car fishing. The authorities were left stunned when they pulled out a dumped car from the river. Not because there was something in the rusted metal, but because of this. As soon as the crane dropped it to the surface, a flood of catfish came out of it. The catfish must have been trapped inside the car, and distressed by the flight, they jumped out of the vehicle, only to know that they were caught by people, who, by the way, have definitely hit the jackpot. River of Waste. This distressing sight was captured by a group of tourists across the Guatemala River. The video shows a stream of waste, including tons of plastic flowing through the river. Well, that was just a glimpse of what the river was actually experiencing, as not just a small part, but the entire water flow was jammed due to the waste. It was soon after the video was uploaded that the authorities took action and filtered out the water. Longest worm. You can keep pulling it out, and it still will not end. Alright, I'm just kidding there. But actually, these worms are quite a bit longer than your usual ones. These worms are also considered the rarest worms, as they're hardly spotted on the beach. They usually hide beneath the surface and avoid coming on the shores. Therefore, people blamed the excessive use of herbicide spray when a large number of these worms popped up on the beach. Human chain. When a juvenile dolphin was trapped in a creek, rescuers came up with a surprising plan to save it. It happened in the year 2020 in the canals of Florida. The dolphin was probably migrating along the pod when it somehow lost its way and ended up in the canal. It was after a week of observing the dolphin's activity that wildlife rescuers decided to form a human chain to lure it towards the open ocean. Around 20 people got in together and guided the stuck animal to safety. Glowing cave. Hidden from the rest of the world, inside the Waitomo caves lives these glowing worms. Known as the bioluminescent worms, these dangling creatures have garnered people's attention in the recent past years, not only because of their ever-glowing lights, but also due to their impressive hunting strategy. So basically, the drooping lights you guys are looking at here are a predatory trap. These silky threads contain mucus and sticky substances, which at first attracts and eventually captures the flies in it. Prehistoric sturgeon. Meet the great white sturgeon, a fish that is believed to have survived the prehistoric era. Now, meet the 9-year-old boy who found this ancient shark floating in the river. This boy was fishing in the Fraser River when he hooked the majestic creature in the water. Despite being scared, the boy approached the sturgeon and experienced this once-in-a-lifetime moment. It was a 600-pound whopping fish that the guy hauled and surprised everyone. Due to the species being endangered, the boy immediately sent the fish back into the water. Boiling River of Amazon. Present in the midst of the Amazon jungle is the boiling river. This river's literally boiling 100% of the time, and anything that falls in it burns. It's been the center of attention for quite some time now, but nothing except a few boiled animals, including frogs and birds, have been discovered. Where the river has been a part of many myths, and people believe that it is boiled by the heat of the sun. Scientists explain this phenomenon as geothermal heating. It means the water comes from the bottom of the earth, which makes it hotter than the rest. Dumped bikes. This clawed crane is retrieving thousands of bicycles from the submerged canal. Each year, the water authorities of Amsterdam recover thousands of bikes dumped in the bottoms. Once these discarded bikes are retrieved, they are sent to a car workshop where they are recycled. Although how they ended up in the depths is still a mystery. Officials believe they are stolen bicycles, which are kept hidden from the rest of the world. And now, let us move on to our subscriber pick of the day. This image was sent to us by one of our subscribers. Similarly, if you ever wish to know more about an image you come across, just send it on over to us. Who knows? We might even feature it in one of our videos. This car graveyard, discovered by a group of explorers across the Boise River in Idaho, has become a mystery to solve for the people. Although the true cause behind the car's sudden appearance is unknown, researchers believe that they have been dumped in the late 90s for erosion control. Now, after years have passed, these cars have emerged on the surface again, telling the rusted story about the water's condition, as officials believe that the car remains have contaminated the water. Sadly, nothing has been done to prevent the water pollution, as the cars have now grown trees in them, making it impossible to shift them somewhere else. See you next time.